When you look closely at Nnamdi Kanu's continued detention, it's clear that his case goes far beyond the courtroom. What's really keeping him behind bars is not just about legal technicalities, it's about politics, power, and fear, the kind that shapes nations. The Nigerian government sees Kanu not simply as an individual, but as a symbol, a figure whose release could alter the country's delicate balance of control. For years, the federal government has struggled with secessionist movements, and Kanu's influence, especially across the southeast, represents a potent force that can mobilize millions with just a few words. For those in power, that kind of influence is dangerous. Releasing him, in their eyes, isn't just freeing a man, it could mean legitimizing a cause that challenges the authority and unity of the state. Politically, this is about control and optics. No government wants to appear weak, especially in a country already battling insecurity, economic frustration, and public distrust. If they release Kanu, some would interpret it as the government bowing to pressure from protests and regional agitation. Others might see it as a victory for separatism, a precedent that any strong, defiant voice can force concessions from the state. To those who hold power, that perception alone could shake confidence in their leadership. So, the decision to keep him detained becomes a statement, a show of authority meant to remind everyone that the state, not any individual or group, holds the ultimate power. But politics alone doesn't explain it all. Security fears play a major role. The government believes that Kanu's release could ignite fresh unrest in the southeast, where his name still commands intense loyalty. Over the years, violent incidents and clashes between security forces and pro-Biafra supporters have left scars in communities and raised alarms in Abuja. Whether those incidents are directly tied to Kanu or not, the perception remains that his influence can quickly transform peaceful protests into large-scale confrontations. For security agencies, that's a nightmare scenario. They see his detention as a way to contain a volatile situation, believing that keeping him out of circulation maintains a fragile calm. But it's a double-edged sword. The longer he stays detained, the more anger festers. What was once a political movement has, in some ways, turned into a symbol of resistance against perceived oppression. Every court delay, every failed negotiation deepens the resentment and widens the distance between the southeast and the rest of the country. People begin to see his continued detention not as justice but as targeted suppression, and that feeling feeds into an even larger narrative of exclusion. This brings us to the deeper regional dynamics, the emotional heart of the issue. The Southeast has a long and painful history with the idea of marginalization. Since the end of the Biafran War, generations have grown up with the belief that the region has been politically sidelined and economically neglected. So when someone like Kanu rises and speaks directly to that pain, he becomes more than a man, he becomes a voice that echoes decades of frustration. His arrest and prolonged detention reinforce the very sentiments he once capitalized on. For many in the region, it feels like history repeating itself, the same cycle of suppression, silence, and resistance. And this cycle doesn't just affect the southeast, it ripples across the country. It deepens mistrust, stirs old wounds, and challenges the idea of one unified Nigeria. There's also a psychological layer to all this, the feeling of selective justice. When people see others, even those accused of grave crimes like terrorism, being released or granted amnesty while Kanu remains behind bars, it fuels the belief that the system is biased. It creates the impression that justice depends not on the law but on politics. This perception erodes faith in the government and weakens the very unity the country is trying to protect. Beyond Nigeria's borders, the situation carries international weight. Kanu's dual citizenship and the controversies surrounding his extradition brought global attention to his case. The way his arrest was handled, particularly the claims of extraordinary rendition, sparked legal and diplomatic conversations in other countries. Human rights organizations, diaspora groups, and even foreign governments have raised questions about due process and fairness. That international spotlight makes the Nigerian government cautious. They know that whatever they do, whether they release him or continue to detain him, will echo on the global stage. It's a delicate balance between asserting sovereignty and maintaining a respectable image in the eyes of the world. Yet, the irony is striking. In trying to assert control, the government has, in many ways, elevated Kanu's significance. His name still stirs strong emotions. His detention keeps him relevant. It keeps the conversation alive. Instead of silencing the movement, it has turned him into a symbol, not just for those who support Biafra, but for anyone who feels unheard or marginalized. And that's where the true power of this story lies. It's not just about one man. It's about a country still struggling to reconcile its past with its present, still trying to understand what unity really means in a land so diverse, so divided, yet so interconnected. So when people ask, why is Nnamdi Kanu still being held, the answer isn't simple. It's wrapped in layers of politics, fear, pride, and history. The government fears instability if he's released, but every day he stays locked up adds new cracks to the foundation of national unity. It's a paradox that defines the Nigerian political landscape, a constant tug-of-war between control and peace, justice and security, authority and legitimacy. And until those deeper issues are addressed, Kanu's detention will remain more than just a legal matter, it will remain a mirror reflecting the country's most uncomfortable truths.
Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please like, share, subscribe and hit the notification bell to get on future videos. Thanks.